All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've covered a lot of, I think, very interesting issues, but now we're going to turn back to the candidates, where they're going to have 2 minutes to sort of wrap up the evening, talk about their campaign, and make their final pitch to you, the voters of Louisiana. But we're going to start in reverse order from how we started the opening statements with our concluding statements. So, Mr. Marsala, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all the other candidates for being here tonight. This has been a great forum, because what we found is that forums need to be open. We've had a lot of exclusion in this race. Louisiana has a lot of diversity. We actually went to court earlier because we found out that roughly about 7 people were being excluded for this. We almost went back to Jim Crow laws, where you can vote, but you can't have your candidates up there to talk about the issues. And when we listen to those issues, we find out how we can come together. And coming together, I've lived in 3 different parts of this state. Monroe for several years, where my family's from for over 100 years, down in New Orleans and down in Houma. I went to St. Francis Xavier, I went to Jesuit. We have a lot of values that were taught there. Those values I will take with me. In fact, I did earn the Leadership in Action Award from the government in California for what I did on pension reform, what I did on preparing the citizens for emergencies like flooding and what we're seeing now in Louisiana. I'm prepared to address those issues of creating jobs, and also for seniors, and also using my engineering background to deal with the flooding. That's got to be a priority. We've got systems in place that haven't been fixed for over 30 years that could have avoided the floods we've recently had. I put up over 30 videos on my YouTube channels, Marsala for LA, where you can look at the sound bites that we've given you tonight, but also 5-minute detailed explanations of these problems. So you can see what really needs to be drilled down and how to take it to Washington, write the legislation, and even on monuments. I propose solutions on how we can resolve the tensions going on with the monument issue in New Orleans, which is also a state issue, but it's also 2,000 monuments around the nation. I also want to address bringing back conservation. We have to take care of that, because if we don't, we're going to have serious problems with killing ourselves by putting so much toxins in our waters and losing the coast that we have down there. The people we have in Congress right now have taken money and they voted on bills, which I can't understand, that allow this to happen. If you look at their record and the results in the last 10 years, things have gotten much worse for Louisiana, and it's time for a change, and I can do that for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsala. Mr. Hebert.
Well, I know we're down in New Orleans, and I know this is the home of Donna Brazile, but I think I speak for all of us that she did not give any of us the questions to this debate right here. I just want to make that very clear. I want to thank Jeff and Jimmy and Rachel. I want to thank y'all for y'all time tonight and the very good questions that y'all posed to us, because I think it is important. You know, earlier, I think the people of Louisiana got to hear from the $1 Million Boys. Mr. Marsala talked about we went to court a week or 2 ago to file a complaint and a suit because the system that we have is rigged. It's rigged against the regular working people. And now it's more about the money than it is the man or the woman. And it shouldn't be that way. You know, political insanity is that we keep sending the same people to Washington and expect something different. Well, if you send any one of those people that's at that other debate tonight, the $1 Million Boys, then you're going to get the same thing you've been getting, which is nothing. I made a pledge when I began this campaign to not to take any donations, because I didn't want my candidacy to be anything about money. I wanted it to be about ideas, about the things we talked about tonight. And I think that's what the problem with America is that we're going to send the rich people over there to Washington. Well, how do they know what we go through every day? Okay? And that's why I'm an independent, because when you look at it, the Democrats cater to those people who don't want to work. The Republicans are controlled by people who don't have to work. I want to go to Washington and represent those of us who actually work every day. And so I think it's very, very important to know that I got enough. If you got enough, go to my website, gotenough.org. Because if you're sick and tired of what you're receiving, then don't send one of those big rich boys over there. Send one of these gentlemen. It ain't got to be me. Vote for one of these fellas right here. They're all fine gentlemen. They have good ideas. And I think what you heard in this debate tonight shows you this is what can make America great again. I want to go to the U.S. Senate. I want to support President Trump. I want to go and bring government back to the people, because government by the people and for the people is what we need.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert. Mr. Crawford.
Well, I decided to get into this race. This is my first time running for office. I was just frustrated with friends and family who have been either downsized out of work or just stuck in a position that it's not really something they want to do. I've got a family member who used to work in the medical field, highly expert field, and now he's driving a truck. Nothing wrong with truck driving, but he went to college and trained in school for a long time to do medical care, and he can't do it because he's been downsized. I've met other people that have worked for banks 5-10 years. They started off as a teller, worked their way up to branch manager, and the banks have merged so many times. Now the only job left for that person was back to bank teller. You know, that's not the way you expect the country to run. And really, it's because the people in Washington are working for corporations and not the people anymore. And that's one of the main drivers that I had behind me to get in this race. There are so many mergers going on. You've got Cabela and one of the other sporting goods companies. You know, what's that going to do? They're going to lay off a couple of thousand people. The prices for your goods aren't going to go down, but people are going to be out of work. Less taxes going into the government, can't fund Social Security and Medicare anymore. Why? Because the government allows these corporations to merge out of control. You see the same thing in the banking sector and lots of other sectors in the country, including healthcare. So really, that's a symptom of politicians getting donations from CEOs and going to do their bidding in Washington. Well, that's all got to change, and you need to send somebody to Washington that has some business sense and is not linked in directly with these big money people. I haven't funded 100% of my campaign, but I've funded over 90% of it out of my pocket because I think it's worth it not to be directly linked to anybody or have to do their bidding. I want to work for the people of Louisiana. If you want to find out more about me, go to my website, crawdaddy2016.com. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crawford. And finally, Mr. Billiot.
I want to thank you, Jeff, for coming out tonight because, like Mr. Hebert said, you know, we've been excluded from a lot of debates. And I believe it's a lot of because we don't want to make the big guys look bad. You know, so the thing is this. I'm running for the U.S. Senate because I have faith in Louisiana. I have faith in America. I'm motivated by looking at the faces of the kids growing up today. I have 2 young children, and I am scared for their future. Not because of what they seem, but I want them to have what I achieved. I am the product of the American dream. I was born to a poor fishing family in South Jefferson Parish. I joined the Marine Corps, educated myself, started a business, and here I am, running for the United States Senate. That's a testament that you can be whatever you want to be as long as you're willing to take the steps necessary to get there. Nothing's going to be given. The only thing that we need to give you is an opportunity, and we need to teach you how to take advantage of that opportunity. We need leadership from every angle of society. We lack it in so many places. We need to make sure that we foster an environment for business. We talk about we want businesses to come, but we don't want to give them tax breaks. We talk about we want kids to learn, but we don't want them to feel separated. We need to decide what it is we want. We need leadership to push us in the right direction. We need to make sure that we handle both avenues of approach, not just one. We can't focus on one element and not worry about what it does on the other side. I will work hard to bring jobs to Louisiana, but I will make sure we have an educated workforce to fill those jobs. I'm going to make sure we have a low crime rate by holding people accountable, giving the power back to the police officers. We can't have police without power, expecting them to maintain control. We can't do it. We have to look at both sides. There are bad police officers. Take care of them. Hold them accountable, but that's less than 1%. So let's give the 99% the ability to do their job. I want to go to Washington to fight for you, the people of Louisiana. My name is Beryl Billiot, number 1 on the ballot, number 1 in your heart. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Billiot. Folks, I want to thank our media panel here, Mr. Jimmy Delery and Ms. Rachel Wulff. Thank you all very much. Great job. And of course, our 4 candidates, not only for being here tonight, but also for putting themselves out there for public service. And it's a big commitment, a big sacrifice, and they're to be applauded. Mr. Beryl Billiot, Mr. Donald Crawford, Mr. Troy Hebert, Mr. Charles Marsala. Congratulations and thanks to all of you. And folks, we also want to thank Telemundo for joining with us and helping to televise this. We also want to encourage all of you, the voters of Louisiana, to go to the polls on Election Day and cast your ballot in this important race for U.S. Senate. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and don't forget to go out and vote.